Today we're doing the fuel filters on the E450. Like I said earlier, we like to use Motorcraft because it's at Ford specs and they can be kind of sensitive to which filters you put in, so I want to put in the right OEM stuff. In our kit today for the fuel filters, we have a little filter. This one's supposed to go up top in the engine bay, and that one's going to be real hard to reach. And this is the lower one that's supposed to go below the car, right behind the driver's side tire. So we will install that one first because it's supposed to be easier. Your kit also comes with O-rings, which we'll lube before we put on, make sure they go on nice and smooth on the caps for both sets. So we are under the car. We're on the driver's side, basically right underneath the driver's door. There's two inline systems here. One is back here, this guy, and there's one up here, this guy. This is supposed to be the filter area. It's got this conventional socket end on it to take this off and replace the filter. You'll notice also both of these have little drains on them. So you want to loosen these. These would drain the water. Usually any water would gather at the bottom of the diesel. And you can drain out water from here. And we'll do that before we take the filters off. That'll also relieve the pressure. In the fuel system, so when we take off the lids there, we don't get sprayed with diesel. And you'll notice we do have safety goggles on for this, and gloves, because I don't want to smell like diesel later. Okay, so we pretty much let that all drain out. We're gonna do go ahead and take this guy off. It looks like it's a 25 mil. I just want to very carefully squeak this guy loose here. You'll also notice too, we disconnected this connector here. Be sure you do that. And just like that, she's free. Pay attention to which direction you have your filter in, so you put your new one back in the same way. Also, make sure before you put this thing back together, you tighten this little drain up so you don't turn on the car and start spraying fuel everywhere, because that's no good. Alright. Yep, that can go there. Alright, so as the same as the oil filter, it's very important that we put our new O-rings on properly. The O-rings here we'll pull off just with a pick. You can probably use a small screwdriver if you don't have one of these. We'll put a little bit of oil on the new ring so it slides on nice and easy and doesn't get bound up or rolled when we're tightening this thing back up. So we'll set you up so you can watch. As well. Remember, this side went up. This side goes into the little grooves down there. Just like that. And we're going to go back together. And we're going to go back in. That just slides over. And we twist this guy all the way up. of the things we're looking for too is we want the body to close up this gap to the housing here, the metal housing. So right there you can see the O-ring starting to go in. And it should end up in about the same orientation it was before. We'll use the 25mm socket to tighten her back up the rest of the way here. And this is plastic, so it does not need to be super tight. So we're just going for the body to be touching the metal housing. And so we're going to replace our upper fuel filter and our upper O-ring. And this one's in this really sweet place where it's virtually impossible to reach. It's right back there. We'll aim a light at it so you guys can see it a little better. See the head of that, there's a socket opening there, also with a square opening it looks like. We'll have to finagle a tool back there and pop that top off, try to sneak it out, and try not to remove too much stuff if we don't have to. But it looks like we'll probably have to at least maybe push this reservoir out of the way. Maybe rotate those clamps, but we'll give it a shot, see what we have to do. I'll put you in time. Got our cap, which is super hard to get to for some reason, and we will replace the O-ring off of this guy with the new one from Motorcraft. So that's our old filter, and again you'll notice there's a little clip in here that grabs inside of this piece here, and the bottom was an open O. You can tell it's oil by the way it is. Also important to note, this thing did hiss a little bit when it was released, so we didn't get all of the pressure out of the fuel system, but that's okay. If it's hissing at you, just leave it be for a minute, let it hiss, and then when it's all done, take the cap off. So now for the fun part, we have to find a way to get this guy and the filter back in where they came from. So I'm gonna figure that out while you're on time lapse. Okay, so again, not a professional mechanic, but the trick I figured out is wedging a few 2x4s in here. Helps kind of push up all this wiring stuff on top and the seal and whatever. And then back in the hole there, you can probably see, hopefully, there's a little cap. The cap has a square, like, I think it's a 3/8 inch socket end on it, which is what I used to get at it. And there's also a hex head. I have no idea what size it is because I didn't try. And then just to get this stuff out of the way, I did pull the power steering bracket off. You obviously leave the pump and everything installed, the reservoir installed. And then we're gonna go ahead and make sure we have fuel pressure next. gonna go ahead and prime the fuel system here. We've got our super straight steering wheel. So just give it a little key on here, let the power come on. Do one more. This guy does have a fast idle system to handle all the electronics that used to come on it and run it, so the idle may sound abnormal to anyone who just has a normal 6-liter without this system on it, but it does rev high to get power and charge the batteries and run everything that's on here. But otherwise, it's a good sign it's running. We'll let it run for a minute or two and we'll get cleaned up. And that'll be it.